The spirit of this podcast is to commemorate Ainun Habibie in line with his memorial date on September 11. Though it has been 6 years since his passing, his wisdom feels more relevant than ever. To you we salute. May we do justice to your legacy. My grandpa actually did set the standard that high. He was like, Nadia, kamu kalau cari pacar atau suami kayak saya ya. And I'm like,
it's crazy.
Who will make me a plane? Who will make me a plane, right?
Welcome back, Weeboos, to the What Is Up Indonesia podcast with me, Andovi da Lopez.
And me, Abigail Limuria.
And today, as you can see, we're not in our usual spot. We're in actually a very historic spot.
What an upgrade.
What an upgrade. Wow. We're here with our special guest,
Absolutely.
the executive director of the Habibie Ainun Foundation. Give it up for Nadia Habibie. Yay!
Hi, Weeboos. We call it, yes. Hi. Really nice to meet you all.
Welcome to the WIUI podcast.
Thank you so much. It's my first podcast.
Wow.
So, first milestone. Honestly, a little bit nervous. I don't really know what to expect, but I trust that if we have good intentions to do this podcast, it will go just fine.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I agree. And I think we should, address the elephant in the room, which is the room.
The room,
Which
yes.
is legit the room.
True.
Can you please explain us a bit about the background and the history of this room?
Yeah, why?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm so happy we're doing it here, actually, because this has so much historical significance to Indonesia. So we know this as Pendopo. And and you mentioned, right, Andovi, you've actually been here before, so
I've
you can
been
tell
here
a
before.
little bit. There's so
Yeah.
many things that happened here. But I think some things that I can point out is that this is actually a silent witness to the birth of democracy.
Yeah.
As I know it sounds really like a lot, right? But
I agree.
truly, this was actually the space where Ainun Habibie was onboarded to become president.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
So he was onboarded here the day before, and the day after he was in the
Istana,
palace,
yeah.
right? In the palace to actually give his oath, and it was there because it wasn't conducive at the time in MPR, and so that's why he did it in the palace. And after that, he went back to the Pendopo to essentially collect his cabinet and essentially execute for the reform.
Right. I mean, UPERS was born here. A lot of things was born
Yes.
here.
Wow.
Other than that as well, as you know, Ainun created a lot of undang-undang and regulations, right? I think more than 200, and a lot of them were discussed here as well,
Yeah.
right? An example would be, for instance, creating more autonomy for the regional government, right? The freedom of press,
Yeah.
so much here.
Very
One of the
important.
most important.
Very,
undang-undang was
very
here.
important.
Yes. And lastly, actually, before he presented his responsibility atau his tanggung jawab to MPR, he actually collected his family here and mentioned that, hey, if they don't actually accept my responsibility or my tanggung jawab, I actually will probably not continue as president because I want to pursue Indonesia's democracy. So it was actually his strategy to continue all of that.
I wish more leaders was like this in Indonesia. I will do all the, quip, and you be as diplomatic as possible. I wish more leaders has the humility of the Habibies,
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. And especially like being here in this room, the birth of democracy. I feel like knowing like what happened and the regulation that are being cooked up in this room, it's not really a stretch to say like the seed of democracy for Indonesia was planted here
Exactly.
in this room.
I'm not exaggerating. It really was the case.
Yeah.
And it is also, when people come to Wisma Habibie in Ainun for the second time around, it's usually that they have actually experienced this room before and maybe not the library because
yeah.
this room actually existed before the library.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. The library was just here since 2009, pretty much. It was during his years when he was already pensioned, right? When he was already... apa namanya? Sorry, kok aku lupa bahasa Inggrisnya.
Retired.
Retired. When he was already retired, right? But yes, this holds a lot of history, a lot of memories, a lot of the most intimate gatherings happen here. Ainun loved, right?
If I may speak about my experience.
Yeah,
Yes.
you've been here,
I've
right?
been here before 2018. It was my brother and I with a lot of other young people here. It was we were talking for the launch of the R80 plane. And I remember so I sat in that table, and I remember we were here first, and Ayang wasn't here. And I remember it was a woman, I forgot her name, but she was like, guys, we only have 30 minutes, but please forgive us because we put our schedule only for 30 minutes. And then, but the woman said, Ayang likes to talk.
Oh, yeah.
And when he speaks, he just goes on, and because he loves speaking, especially about technology and science, and
especially to the youth.
Especially to the youth.
Yes.
So we didn't know what to expect. Because, I mean, I know Habibie history. I love history. So I love Sejarah.
Yes.
So I know who he was. I know who he is. I know what he means to this country. But meeting him, and at that time, if I may say, his health wasn't at the top. It was 2018, right?
Right. Yes.
He passed away 2019.
2019. So just a year before.
Just a year before. And I remember when he came, all of us stood. And I remember at his physical state, he spoke for like 1.5 hours. And all of us were like, did people say he was not healthy? Because his energy and the way he spoke. And he was like, anyone wants to ask questions? And I remember I put my hands up and I asked a question. So, and we kept on talking. I was asking about the plane specifically. I was like, how are you so smart? And blah, 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 blah. And I remember one of the panitia went up to him and said, Andovi, if you ask any more questions, ini schedule niya, he needed to be somewhere and all that stuff.
I used to be his timer, actually.
Right. So
Yes,
you would know. Yeah.
Yes, I would just give him the eyes, because because I would signal him and tell him, you need to take care of yourself. But whenever he speaks, it's always as if, some spirit is actually taking over him. He has so much passion and fire because his values are so in alignment, right?
Yeah.
And whatever he does, him as a person, him as, a government official, as an engineer, and as a cultural icon, everything is aligned. While it does look like he's bouncing around, there is actually a benang merah in all of that, right?
Right, it's insane. And if one more personal anecdote before we go to the questions, because I really want to ask and converse.
Yeah, for sure.
I remember, so a little bit of background. My mom's a diplomat, and knows your uncle or did it, right?
Yes.
Right. So I remember, when the whole 98 thing happened, I was in Norway, and I remember all the diplomats were told like, ini di May ini baka terjadi sesuatu, and we didn't know. But when it happened, when Suharto gave his speech down, everyone was at the KBRI. So they all put us in the KBRI to watch the speech and the news. And I was only 4.5 years old back then. But it was such a core memory to me because I was like, why are all these Indonesians in one place in the KBRI? And that. So it was always been one of my earliest memories as a 4-year-old. I mean, if you guys can remember when you were 4, it was actually all of us in the KBRI, Oslo, in Norway, watching the transition of power, which I didn't know back then, but I just remembered it so
How
deeply.
old were you?
4.5. But
Okay.
I didn't understand anything. But it was such a core memory and emotion because I remember the Indonesians were crying. They were all it was such a weird time in our history. I was born 94, so I was 4.5 years old. 98, yeah. But anyway, long story short, my mom was posted in Denmark when I was 13. And we went to Germany for a lot of reasons, right? Went to Hamburg, to Berlin for school trips or whatever. And I remember it's like every time we went to the KBRI or the KJRI there, we also went to the house in Germany. We didn't go inside the house, but I don't know where it was. Remember?
I think if you went to Hamburg, it's probably
Yes, the
outside
Hamburg
Hamburg.
house.
Yeah,
Yes.
the Kakerbeek. Okay.
But we didn't go inside. But
Yeah.
the KBRI people were like, this is Habibie's house, and it's it's very historical. And
Yeah.
And I remember the Germans have such a high respect for Habibie and for what he did. Of course,
Yeah.
all the
Wow.
history, but it's always been critical for me. It's always been very, very emotional to me because he's, I think, the only vice president that I met. Vice and president. Sorry, I mean president. I've never met any more vice presidents after him. After
Right.
him, but the president, of course. So thank you. All this ranting, I just want to say thank you that
Thank
I can
you.
interview you and
I
here
can
and we
say
talk about
you're
it.
welcome on behalf of my grandfather.
Yes.
I did nothing, but yes, you're welcome
Thank
on
you,
behalf of the
thank you.
family.
Yeah.
I feel like it's so interesting. Like I was born in '94 too, same with
Yeah.
you. But I think we're different like just by a few months,
Yeah.
if
Okay.
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I feel like you and of course you are very rooted in Indonesia's history. Like as for me, I feel like growing up, I was never very aware of like our history. I was only starting to be more aware like recently by doing like What Is Up Indonesia. Like it really helped me to reconnect with like Indonesia's history, and especially before this we had like an episode with Peter Carey, like the historian. And first of all, like I'm a bit ashamed and it always baffles me at how much I don't know. But second, something that really strikes me is that I feel like in Indonesia, as it turns out, we have a long history of thinkers and how the country is actually built by thinkers. A lot of like figures that are deeply intellectual or who are very aligned with like what they believe in and who are very, very, like well read and values like intellectualism so much, especially like your Eyang, right? And I feel like that connection with that part of our history is not very felt like recently in the present day. Because like when we think of Indonesia, right, we don't really think of, oh, this is a country that is built by thinkers. Well, that's actually like the reality.
The reality. This country was built by thinkers. Yes.
By thinkers. Because like when you think about like the conception of this country, right, like the people who built it and the founding fathers and like your Eyang, they are deeply intellectual. But it seems like that there's that disconnect. And I feel like with this room and its very historically like significance, it just makes me like think about that.
Yeah.
Like what do you think of that?
Well, that's so interesting. I think, this also is relatable to, or it relates to the way I grew up, right? One of the quotes that I remember most from my grandfather is, intellectuality should be paired with love. Because if not, it may be dangerous.
Intellectuality should be paired with love. Wow.
Okay.
And love without intellectuality is not enough.
Wow.
So, and I find that extremely relevant for me, right? Because we need knowledge and critical thinking to be able to solve problems. But without that love, that compassion, it can be very harmful instead of it becoming really helpful, right? And of course, love without, knowledge or intellectuality is just aspiration within itself. And so what do we need to do, right? Us young people, we need to invest in knowledge, but we also must cultivate actually our inner compass, our heart. Because if those two things are, bonded together, that's when great things happen.
No.
That's truly the essence actually of my grandfather. Technology can be seen as something quite dangerous if it isn't paired with love, right?
Yeah.
Technology can actually form into, I don't know, it can actually support wars, for instance, and whatnot, right?
Right.
And that's why I think, my grandfather was actually scared of airplanes in the beginning when he was
Really?
when he was small.
What?
If you actually watch Rudy Habibie, he was actually afraid of airplanes because it contributed to wars before. That was his
for that-
memory.
yeah,
That
yeah, yeah.
has-
In
yeah,
that
In
perspective,
that
okay,
perspective,
yeah.
right? But his father, changed his mind and said that actually it could be very beneficial for a country like Indonesia, an archipelago that actually can connect with planes and other modes of transportation. We can be more connected, right?
Right.
And for him, that was very inspiring, right? Technology as a means to actually do better for humanity. So for him, what was important, he was so blessed with so many things, right? His intellectuality, and then later on, his position, his influence, but all of that was a means to an end, right?
Right.
It wasn't for himself. And that was because he was so rooted, right, in culture and, humanity, love by his parents that, inspired him basically. All that he was, blessed with, you need to give back to community and the country.
Okay, Nadia, can I just... This hits me on a personal level, but before I give my next question,
Sure.
I think this is one of the perfect first podcast that you can do is to the What Is Up Indonesia crowd.
Sure.
The Weeboos.
Okay.
And why I always like Abigail to explain why she made What Is Up Indonesia.
Okay.
Because this is very important for my next question.
Okay.
But can you please explain why you made What Is Up Indonesia?
Yes, so the reason why we first created What Is Up Indonesia or WIUI is because we realized that there's a lot of internationally raised Indonesians,
Right.
youth, so people like me, like Andovi, and I feel like you yourself, and even like your Eyang back then,
Sure,
right?
yeah.
Who are they go to like an international like education, they go to university abroad, or they spend a portion of their formative year not in Indonesia. Some people, like the technical term is called third culture kids, and these people have immense privilege and connection and access actually, but it is precisely because of their education, their background, this third culturedness that they are sometimes disconnected from Indonesia because they, for example, their Indonesian's not that good, so they can't really read the news, or they are you know, like alienated sometimes from this country, even though like they're an important part of Indonesia. And like reflecting in history, actually, Indonesia's technically founded by third culture kids. We can even say that in a different context, of course, but still. And so What is Up Indonesia is created for those people specifically. That's why we created
I followed
content.
from a long time ago.
Yeah.
I know.
Because I
So-
could relate. So
Do you remember when we first like
yeah, of
Came in
course I
contact?
remember. And I was like, this is great because, you know, I think public policy is a little bit tough, not only for third culture kids, but even for the normal citizens, right? Or the Indonesians here to understand,
Yes.
because it's very ribetin gitu.
Right.
The language, the structure, the communication, all that is not so easy to comprehend, frankly.
Absolutely.
So I'm very happy that you made this, because this is such a great channel, I think, for other people to be interested in this in this country. And to build upon what you said, right? A lot of third culture kids or international kids, you know, feel rather disconnected. But frankly, identity isn't about location. It's not about distance. It's about connection. And I'm so glad you made WIUI, right? Because you can establish that connection. Whatever they do, or you Weeboos, right, do abroad, whether you build or you create something, it's actually part of Indonesia's story too.
Yeah.
Don't forget to share, of course, right? We're in a globally connected world right
Yep,
now.
absolutely.
So we can actually contribute from outside to Indonesia, right? We can still remain rooted, you know? And you don't really have to choose being Indonesian or being global. You can be both.
Yeah.
That's your strength, right? Indonesia will always have a spot for you. And, you know, Indonesia's future definitely looks brighter with you in it.
The reason why I wanted that context, it's
Yeah.
because that Eyang is always used as the ultimate excuse for internationally raised Indonesians to be like, ngapain sih peduli sama Indonesia? Lihat aja Habibie. Jerman lebih
Right.
peduli sama dia daripada Indonesia.
Disia-siain.
Disia-siain.
Yeah.
Your grandfather is always used as the every time I see someone who's like, the very apathetic kids are like, ngapain, lihat aja tuh Habibie. Jerman lebih peduli sama dia daripada Indonesia. It's always that argument that I see from.
Yeah.
I know,
want
but
you
I
to
think,
please give that another perspective towards that.
you know, I think for him, he lived a life much bigger than himself, right? If he
Right.
didn't come back to Indonesia, he would not have this legacy. You know?
True.
Like, he is
True.
still very much alive. His spirit is still very much alive after his
Right.
death.
How?
How? Like,
How would you say?
We, the family, for instance, we're trying to keep his spirit alive, extend his spiritual age, essentially by making Wisma Habibie and Ainun, you know,
Yeah.
more public, right? And its associated legacy to become more bigger and lengthening it, because we do see that there is a lot of values that can be beneficial actually for the Indonesian society and country, right?
Right.
Eyang is a tokoh negara, filled with intellectuality, but also a lot of humanist values. And these
Yep.
humanist values are very universal. So even to be honest with you, it's not only beneficial for Indonesia, tapi juga for, you know, the global stage, frankly.
Yeah, it's just that I really dislike it when kids, you always use that, you know, this apathetic kids who's like, kenapa sih? Because I think it's the opposite. I think
It's a very reductionist view.
Yeah,
right?
very
Yeah, but I
reductionist
mean, that's
view.
also their personal choice, to be frank with you. There
Right.
is no right or wrong answer,
Right.
right? This was Eyang's personal choice. And, you know, I think, and this is actually something that's totally true, you know. He lived a life that was extremely filling. You know, he died, and I would say he really tried to minimize his regrets. Right? I'm not going to
Okay.
talk about his regrets. There are always regrets. Like,
course.
I think
Yeah.
it's almost, you know, unrealistic to say he had zero regrets, right? Because there's always trade-offs here and
Yeah.
there. But I think if he didn't come back, he wouldn't be the Habibie we know now.
Right.
And that's it. That is a personal choice,
Right.
right? Yeah.
Right. Well, listen, okay. So I have so many questions,
Go for it.
but and now I want to talk to you on like a personal level.
Sure.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
Nadia, as Nadia,
Yeah.
you're literally the descendant of one of the greatest people. Not just Habibie, also Ainun. Yeah, we always
Yeah.
and their love story. Almost all
Sure.
of Indonesia knows their love story and everything.
Yes.
How do you go through life knowing you have such a I'm not saying shadow. There's this legacy that's
No, that is a shadow.
like how do you cope with that? How do you? It's because my father was a great man. He was an activist. not nowhere near Habibie's level, but it's like even that is a shadowing figure in my life. That I feel so much pressure from it. Like I have to live up to my father's.
So that was actually a question from the audience, right? Which I thought was really good. Like, how does it feel to grow up being the granddaughter of someone so super legendary?
Yep. Let us read the question.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We're gonna give props to
Sorry, wait. No. Here we go.
From Arunika Dikara.
Yep.
Okay. Have you ever struggled with the expectations that come with being Habibie's granddaughter?
Yep.
Of course. I mean, I'm human. Of course, like there's a reason why I also just stepped into my grandfather's and grandmother's legacy now, right? I mean, before this, I was, and still am, by the way, I'm guilty of imposter syndrome, right? But I mean, I think that's totally normal. You have this amazing and ginormous figure, right? He created patents that were bought by NASA. By the way, a lot of people don't know that.
People
right?
don't know this.
Yes.
Look, all my team is now they're like, what?
Yeah.
No, even I don't know that.
It's called vertical takeoff and landing, essentially. And if you Google it in the NASA website, it's there. So it's amazing, right? And he was president and successfully transitioned Indonesia to become more peaceful.
Yeah.
From
right?
a very unstable time in our history.
Yes, and in such a short time.
Yeah.
And then he was a cultural icon, right? With his books and his films.
books,
So I was like, wow, what do I do after that? Like anything, anything that I do after that would probably fall short, right? And I was honestly, maybe me as a first grandchild, I was actually scared of disappointing people's expectations, right? And so it was really important for me to also go on my own path for a while. So I worked in Zendit for 4 years, and it is a fintech company. I joined its early team. The 32nd employee left when it was 800 people big. So a lot of learnings I got there. And then I also was in the coordinating Ministry of Maritime Affairs and Investments for 2 years. And these were my soul searching years, so to speak, right? I needed to kind of, prove to myself that I was able to learn how to be skillful in my very own way and be okay with it and be proud with it. Right. And then I think it was time, for me to actually help the family. And honestly, I mean, I already love my grandparents, but now I love them as historical figures. Maybe it's not that I didn't love them as historical figures, but I knew them more as from their I knew them personally better. And when I researched them as historical figures, right, I can't believe what I'm reading. Like I can't believe I'm actually related to this guy, right? And honestly, that's kind of my regret, right? Like why didn't I spend more time, Maybe I didn't spend more time because honestly there was a part of me that was a little bit afraid about, how big his legacy would be. And that would kind of stir my imposter syndrome even more, right? But I'm learning about them. I'm realizing their legacy is that big, truly that big. And I'm also learning that I can still see them as themselves in history books. What that means is that their values personally and their values as historical people are actually aligned, which makes me fall in love with them even more. And that's kind of why I'm doing this, because I want to do my grandparents' legacy justice, right? And that does need intent, that does need effort to do that. And there should be someone, I think, in our generation telling their stories. Another note is that this is all just super spiritual for me and very personal for me. I think it's a very full circle for me. Of course, I wish they were still here. But, I'm also hoping that they're proud of the work that we do, right? For us to still commemorate them and celebrate their spirit.
I still remember like the first time we actually talked to one another was when you were working at Maritime Affairs, right?
Yes, that's right. Because we're talking about electric vehicles.
So fun fact, I think what is up in WIUI did like a post on EV, and then suddenly like Nadia just DM'd us like a long paragraph. I think you should do this. And then as I was reading that, I was in the like a net zero event, right? I was in the net zero event, and I remember Luhut was presenting. And then he was like, let me call like Nadia up, you know, she can talk better than me. And then as she was talking, I was like, isn't this the person who was like DMing me?
Oh
DMing
yeah,
me?
I remember that.
And
Yes,
so
yes. Now I remember.
I replied. I was like, is
that
this
was
you?
totally impromptu. You know, I was honestly just supposed to be an asrot, right? Asisten sorot yang benar-benar cuma next,
Yeah,
right?
Called you to
and then
speak.
and then my boss at the time, who was Pak Rahmat Kaimuddin, his deputy, was like,
Yes.
hey, Nat, you need to get ready because Pak Luhut is gonna call you on stage. And I'm like, no, like I have stage fright. You might think I'm an extrovert and whatnot, but like you need to be prepped for that. And it was not a small stage,
No,
right?
it was not. It was huge.
Yeah, so you know, you could tell how unprepared I was. I went to the stage with my laptop because I was just
remember,
like, yeah,
I remember.
I'm so sorry.
And no, but the interesting thing is, like, yeah, I took a picture of you. I think I still have the picture. I was like, is this you? And you're like, lol, yes. But like Luhut introduced her as Habibie's granddaughter, right?
Right.
And I remember like you were not really like fully embracing it. You were like, you know, maybe it was the
that's
stage fright.
interesting. Yeah,
But,
yeah. I mean, that's because of the imposter syndrome, I suppose.
Right.
Right,
the
but
embodiment.
but like now, I feel like you're so different with like that title. You're fully like leaning into it and embracing it. So I
Yeah.
did see from
A
afar,
change, yeah.
a change.
Thank you for realizing that. I did not realize that that's what I came off. I mean, I think it's always because I never really knew who my grandparents were fully, right? I knew them personally. And I think I was just a little bit afraid to delve into them as historical figures just because, again, I think, you know, I just had that imposter syndrome, frankly.
Yeah. And I feel like imposter syndrome, like that's a lot. That's something that's so relatable to a lot of people.
Especially the What Is Up Indonesia audience.
Yeah, and just
Right.
like almost everyone, I feel like.
Almost everyone,
Yeah, although
but-
maybe like not on your scale.
Right. Yeah. I think
But-
your scale it's on
Yes.
another level, to be honest. 'Cause I
Yeah.
don't know how to.
Yes, but I think it's a lot of self-discovery and a lot of self-love. Yeah, I think you have to find the right balance between being very critical of yourself so that you can, you know, improve, but also kind of give yourself, you know, some lax, right?
Right.
Otherwise, you know, it could be quite tiring.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so happy that you can sympathize.
No, I mean, I don't understand it to your level. But I can completely sympathize. Okay, so now I want to ask about the Habibie Ainun Foundation. All right, so now you're the executive director of it. Can you please elaborate a little bit more? It's like what is the vision, visi misinya apa? Like, what is your
Yes.
main goal?
So the vision is basically or the mission, right?
mission, yeah.
The mission is to promote and cultivate Aang's legacy, right?
Okay.
Right now it is in the form of this presidential residence, right? So we are extremely excited to have apa namanya? Visitors. Sorry, I was like, which language am I supposed to speak in? Yeah,
It's okay.
We are very happy
Yeah.
to have visitors here, right? That can learn about Aang's legacy.
Yeah.
Both my grandparents, right? But we do think that actually this legacy can also be carried forward outside the walls of Habibie and Ainun. It's been done before, right?
Right.
Films, books, whatnot.
Yeah.
Maybe there are other products as well
Right.
that could be, you know, turunan as well. But I think we start here because this in itself is already a very powerful media for us to essentially share stories and hopefully inspire many different generations, including the young ones.
Right.
And I'm hoping that, you know, this legacy is not only a national legacy, but hopefully we can also carry it forward to a more global stage.
Right. But then
Yes.
I remember, as you said before, Aang really liked to talk to the youth.
Yes,
And I'm sure Habibie Ainun Foundation really wants to focus on the youth.
yes,
But Nadia, if I'm going to be completely honest, a lot of the youth, I'm not saying everyone,
yeah.
they're very mad at what's going on in Indonesia right now. They're very like, you know what, screw this stuff. I don't, whatever, kabur aja dulu. Everyone's like, oh my God, Indonesia.
Yeah, but I find that interesting,
Yeah,
right?
please,
I mean,
what's your take on that?
you're talking about apathy here, right?
Right.
But I mean, I think if we actually define apathy, it's kind of the lack of feeling or concern. And I'm actually seeing still a lot of social media posts very, very apa namanya? Very
Concerned, they're very,
apa namanya? Viral
Oh,
gitu
yeah,
ya.
yeah, yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of social media posts being very viral, which goes to show that they actually still care, you know? And I think there is definitely opportunity to funnel that emotion. I understand, you know, people feel rather hopeless, right? And tired, I suppose, and all this, but we can turn that emotion into something very productive and constructive. Yeah. Social media is a great platform. Social media has essentially democratized, right? Public participation creates space for us to be able to share our voices and whatnot. And so we can use that actually, of course, for the youth, for instance, to share, for instance, right, to demand the government for more transparent public policy making, for example.
Amen to that. Yeah.
From what I've been hearing from you, I feel like there's a deep respect towards history, and you're very attuned with like our history, and you're obviously a very critical person, and you're very not just attuned to history, but you're also very updated in what's going on, obviously, in the country. And I'm just wondering, so a lot of the youth, I feel like it's not exactly apathy.
Yeah.
Or like lack of feeling, but it's more towards cynicism, in which I feel like most people who are learned, they understand history, they see how we are forgetting history, how, for example, they see the dissatisfaction of the current government or the current state of Indonesia, they become cynical. So it's like, as your knowledge increase, your cynicism increase also. But I feel
The
like
forbidden fruit of knowledge.
yeah,
The more you
exactly.
know, the more you're like, oh my God. Right.
Right, exactly. But from what I'm hearing, like, your Eyang, he's also obviously very aware, very learned. But he still have that hope, that love, like you said. And you also, I feel like you're still very much actively contributing.
Thank you.
What's your take on that, the cynicism?
I think if Eyang were here, for instance, right, he would want to pair his, whatever that feeling of cynicism, with a sense of responsibility, right? How can I contribute, whether small or big, right? In this all, right? That way you can turn your cynicism into something more constructive, frankly.
So would you say that cynicism is born when you have knowledge and no action and minimal action? But when you have knowledge and action, it decreases your sense of like cynicism.
Yes, I suppose so. I think it could spin that way, right? And maybe people do need to be inspired, and maybe that's something that WIUI can do, right? To inspire them with what they can do. Actually, maybe because they actually don't feel there's so much distance that they don't know what to do. And so I'm extremely happy to see all these communities actually sort of bridge that gap. Right. You're doing that actually, but even by just translating into layman language, right?
And memes,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of actually, so history and culture are very similar, right? They may seem quite old and distant, but actually the youth can be extremely interested in it when you actually make it relevant for them. Yeah, you just have to spin how you actually tell the story.
Right.
Yeah.
But I just feel like, especially in my opinion, we're at a critical point, especially for the youth.
Yeah.
I honestly, especially with all the jargon, Indonesia Mas 2045 and all this stuff. I mean, I do agree demographically, the youth is going to lead this country. But I don't know. Like, I'm one of the most real, I always think that there's hope, to be honest. But the hope bucket is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I just wish that, when people like you do this podcast,
Yeah.
and when people who people respect and they know the lineage speak on this, I think it gives a massive difference.
Let me tell you something, actually. So last night, I really enjoyed something that I did, which was to give a tour to young DPRD folks here.
Okay.
And I thought that was extremely, how do I say this? Very spiritual for me, and I'm sure for my grandparents, because they basically have a lot of responsibility to be able to shape our nation, right?
Right.
And the point essentially of this tour, I mentioned about that quote, which was intellectuality needs to be paired with love, right? Otherwise it could be dangerous. To ensure that niatnya baik. Gitu.
Right.
Dan memang membutuhkan sebetulnya intelektualitas karena cinta sendiri tidak cukup gitu. And honestly, I got the shivers as well because this room actually contributed, right, to making that regulation, the regulation of giving more autonomy to Pemda.
Yeah.
And they're there, right? And I'm giving them this tour.
Yeah.
I'm sharing with them, lessons that I've learned from my grandfather. And this is also why I'm doing this, by the way. This legacy is because, I was raised by incredible people. And I feel like it's sayang gitu kalau nggak di-share sama orang lain. Sayang banget, in my opinion. So here's what I'm doing. I am actually amplifying Eyang's values, right? And after that tour, to be honest with you, I don't know ya, aku tuh merasa agak sedikit hopeful. Obviously kayak kita nggak bisa gitu ya mengendalikan apapun gitu. Tapi seenggaknya we are trying to bridge that gap gitu. Aku nggak ngira loh sebetulnya aku bisa melakukan itu dari tournya ya. But to be able untuk menyampaikan gitu values-values pesan-pesan dari Eyang melalui aku itu aku sampai merinding banget sih kemarin malam.
Right. Because I get what you mean. I mean, the giving more autonomy to Pemda was being here, and DPRD here getting the tour to learn. So I get it. It's like a full circle moment.
Yeah, and these are young DPRD
Right,
gitu.
right.
So it was. I know for sure if Eyang was here, he would talk a lot. Yeah, and I would just probably be giving him that stare like, hey, it's getting late, Yeah.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I mean, look, I do want to go to the questions that the Weeboos have asked.
Yeah,
sure.
But it's just that it's my final take, and I want you to, if you can't answer, it's fine, because I'm the bit of this hot take kind of guy here. I give hot takes. I feel like Indonesia, as Abigail said, is the history has shown many intellectuality. From Hatta, Syahrir, Sultan Hamengkubuwono ke-9, Habibie, and all other vice presidents or presidents. That's, intellectuality is right at the forefront. I just feel like this country right now, it's like, no, you don't need to be smart to do anything. You don't, even though intellectuality has to be paired with love. But do you feel that this country is going into the like, no talking, kerja aja gitu kan. Kerja is very, very important, don't get me wrong. But I just feel like our country has gone away from the intellectual mind point and viewpoint. It's my hot take. You don't have to agree. You can just be like, so you're saying, and then move on.
You said it. I will be
God, I just feel this. Never mind. I just wanted to get that out.
How do you feel now?
Is it better?
Better.
Okay, good.
Eyang, just there's a library, right? So he likes to read books, right?
I know where this is going.
Imagine when you're at that level and you're like saying, I don't like to read books. What is going on? What is... Okay, so we boost questions. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, so it's okay. I just want to...
You good now?
I'm good now.
All right.
Just how can you go from Habibie to... Okay.
All right. Okay. This one's pretty interesting.
Okay.
Oh,
from
what is this?
Mba Gay underscore.
I like this person's profile picture. Do you see? You see the profile picture?
It's, what is it?
Is it Teletubbies? No, it's a banana.
It's a banana. Oh, it's a banana with a filter.
With a filter face.
Okay.
It's very Gen Z.
As a person who was born and raised around people with decent morals, what is your message for those who are struggling to find a circumstances with a better morals for the rest of their lives?
This is such a very
philosophical.
Yeah,
it's very deep.
Actually, I thought about this recently, believe it or not.
Okay.
Yes, this is not easy because you are definitely defined by your 5 closest people, right?
Right.
But I think the important part here is to be self-aware and to iterate as you go, right? You have to be conscious of the cues that people are giving you. When you say something or do something, are they reacting negatively to it? And if they are, you should ask yourself first, right?
Right.
Yep.
Like, did I do something wrong? Can I do better? And then you can further that with asking for feedback from your, surroundings.
Right.
And actually listen, catat, the masukan, right? Admit if you're wrong. Right. And of course, the best way to really apologize is to act on their feedback. If it's good feedback, of course, right? So it is back to self-awareness and whatnot. But yeah, frankly, it's not an easy quality to have as well. Right.
You're right, because I do think people are struggling with better morals, especially if they weren't born with people who was raised around decent morals. Because what is the moral compass for you then? If you don't know what's morally good or not.
Morals.
Right?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people in Indonesia also are experiencing I don't know, this is my take. you guys can disagree, but experiencing like a sort of moral bankruptcy in a sense where they don't really see an example of, like leaders exemplifying decent morals, So I feel like this question is really like, so where can I find this role model? Because I feel like people always need a role model.
I mean, that's kind of why I'm, I loved telling my grandfather and my grandma's story. It gives a different sort of, reality and alternative reality or a world that people can have.
Wait, Nadia, before we go to the questions, I mean, are there any specific stories like where your grandfather was and your grandmother was just being an opa and oma, and not being this larger than life figure where they're like, I'm Habibie, I'm Ainun, right? Are there any specific like they play football with you? I don't know. They're cooking with you, reading your books with you. Like, are there any specific stories that you can?
Yes, so many. Let me start with my grandpa. My grandfather, he loves dancing.
Okay.
And so, I think we were dancing to, was it like Dansa Kuduro or something like
Dansa
that?
Kuduro?
I know, he's so hip.
Yang Habibie
It's
is
so
dancing
hard.
to Dansa Kuduro.
Kuduro, I know.
Mena. Wow, that is, I would never. Wow.
Yeah, it was so cute, right? And I think I might have the video of it. Is it Dansa Kuduro or something? I can't remember. Yeah, we will check, and I can give you the documentation. Yes. He's very cute, and he always tries to be hip and young. I think that's kind of his secret to staying like healthy when he was quite old, right? Another thing is, of course, their love story. I actually see it in action, right?
Right.
Oftentimes when I'm spending time with my grandparents here, it's until the wee hours. And I would be, I would fall asleep here in the sofa. I would wake up in the middle of the night because I would hear some noises.
Okay.
For instance, at 2 a.m., and then I would see, it's my grandma just knocking on my grandfather's door. Hey, are you done? Like it's literally, it's that cute, right? I mean, there's not much words exchanged, but it's just that silence and sort of that dedication for my grandmother to like stay up for my grandfather. My grandmother, she's the real OG, she's the real OG. She was basically the manager of this guy who likes to forget when to eat, when to take a break, right? Because he's super intense. He's such a workaholic. And she basically, her task was to keep him alive, right? So, and that's not an easy task.
That's easy.
So, kudos to you, Grandma.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
No, because after you watch, all the Habibie films, it gave such a level of all guys in Indonesia are like, damn you, okay, like in a very positive way, like, Habibie, do you have to set the standard this high for the?
My grandpa actually did set the standard that high. He was like, Nadia, kamu kalau cari pacar atau suami kayak saya ya, and I'm like,
it's crazy.
Who will make me a plane? Who will make me a plane? Right? No. But to my husband, don't worry, you're doing great.
Wait, actually, this is an interesting topic.
Right, please.
Yes.
Can you share some dating tips you got from Eyang? Whether it's Eyang Habibie or Eyang Ainun.
Yeah.
I mean, they never said this to me, but I think, my father and I, we like to analyze this. And it's really that kind of mutual respect. And that mutual respect grew because they struggled so much in the beginning, right?
Okay.
And because they struggled so much, but they had the same vision, they were always aligned. And they always respected each other, which is why they stayed loyal to each other.
Right.
But it was that mutual respect among many things, because I think communication can break down, right? And whatnot. But when you respect someone, you don't want to lose their trust. You want to be in your best behavior because you want to make sure that you're on their good list, right? They quarreled a lot, by the way, but over small things, obviously.
Right.
But I love that as well, because then it shows that we actually also practice democracy here in the family, right? So it needs to be practiced actually within the family too. Like if I didn't agree with my grandfather, I would actually raise it. And obviously we would have debates here and there, but I'm happy enough for my family to be able to give me the freedom. I mean, they even gave me the freedom to actually soul search, right? They didn't force me to be here. Yep. Which is something that I have to be thankful for. So thank you, Mom and Dad, for that. And Grandpa, Grandma, thank you.
No, you're right, because not a lot of families are like this.
No, like the fact that she can debate her grandpa.
That's crazy. That is right. Not a lot of Indonesians.
Yeah, but I
can
think
say that.
a lot of people would be like, and to be honest with you, when I actually reflect, I'm just like, who was I to debate my grandpa, right? Like, how could I? You know, I was so silly, right?
Right.
Yes. But anyway,
But what type of topics would you debate him over? Like, don't tell me it's about airplanes.
no, because that's not my forte. It's just so many things, honestly.
Random
Right,
things.
right,
Yes,
right,
so
Yeah.
many things.
Okay.
No, because thank you for standing the standard. And ladies, girls in Indonesia,
Yeah.
your standards needs to be that high. I mean
That's
it.
true.
I mean it. Makanya because I never knew. I wasn't into the love. I was very into the historical side.
Of course,
I knew
yes.
the patterns. I knew everything. I knew who Habibie did. I knew what he did. But when the films came out and the books came out, you're like, wow, like
He showed a different
he
side.
showed a completely different side. You're like, damn.
I mean, he did
I was like,
all these
what?
amazing things because he was just so human. He was so
Right.
deeply human, which is
Right.
so interesting, right? And actually being human is much more than just living. Like, you have to be, it was conscious living. He was just so conscious
Yeah,
about
yeah,
what
yeah.
he needed to
Conscious
do
living.
and like what he needed to love. I think it was also because of his own mother. So his mother, if you watch
Yeah.
Rudy Habibie,
Yeah.
right? She was a single mother.
Yes.
Because her husband passed away at age 50
Yeah.
and she had to raise 8 kids all by herself.
Oh,
And she
wow.
was the entrepreneur. She did like 3 side jobs, not even side jobs, full-time jobs, you know,
Right.
just so that they could go to school because she promised to her husband, right? Hey, I promise, before he passed away, by the way, I promise to educate them the best I can, right?
Yeah.
And so I think with that mother's sacrifice grew my grandfather's love because he was like, there's this one person who really did everything for me. And, you know, I must make her proud and I must, do the best I can, essentially, right?
Right.
It's amazing, you know, how much
Yeah.
a mother can contribute to really the next
agree.
generation.
I
And I'm speaking to
1000%.
you
That's-
because
yeah.
we're new mothers, right? So
Yes.
it's heavy, to be honest. This is a job, in my opinion. Being a mother is a job, right? That's so honorable.
Yeah.
Yet sometimes invisible. So I just want to give props to you.
And you too.
Thank you.
You too.
Not me. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet.
Us,
I'm not there yet.
Just let me know when you're pregnant.
Yes, I will let my fiance know. Your mother is, your job is honorable and invisible.
job is honorable.
No, I'm just kidding. Okay, wow. Are there any more questions on the Weeboos?
Yeah,
Because the
yeah.
Weeboos did have a lot of questions.
Oh no. Actually, it's not on the laptop, but I do
Okay.
want to ask. It's here.
Okay, got it.
So this is from Air Kathleen. I don't know.
Eric Kathleen.
I don't know how to pronounce it. Can you?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. How do you, yeah.
Okay. But Nadia, I'm interested in knowing about your favorite books from your grandfather's library. Were
wow,
there
that's a great
any
question.
books
That's
that
a
your
great question.
grandfather recommended to you or that had a significant impact on your learning journey?
Well, that's a great question.
Can we actually change that question a little bit
Of course,
about
yeah,
like what is my grandfather's favorite book and
Sure.
what
Sure,
influenced,
sure.
you know?
Yeah.
The book that was extremely influential for him was Around the World in 80 Days. Actually. That
Classic.
That's a classic and
That's a
that was his
classic.
childhood book.
I love that book.
I love that book. I read that book when I was in
itu
primary
yang
school.
memberi bibit inspirasi untuk beliau membuat pesawat terbang.
Because he went on the plane around the world in 80 days.
Yeah,
He did?
exactly. I mean,
No,
among
but
many
among
things,
many
of
things.
course.
Okay.
But that
Didn't
was
go by the
also,
plane,
yeah. I mean,
also.
it was his father, right? It was his, his father's vision on uniting Indonesia, right? So many things, including this book,
that's a
right?
classic book.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I forgot the author, but I read it in primary school. I still remember. It was a
Yes.
must read.
Yes.
So we ask this question actually a lot of the time, right, in our
Yeah.
podcast, and never once that I don't think so.
Yeah.
That was the book mentioned as fiction.
A fiction, a work of fiction.
It's usually nonfiction.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he has also a list of nonfiction. So,
Of course. Yeah.
if he were alive, I would ask him.
Right.
Do
Check
you-
out his library.
Do you have a favorite book?
Yeah. What's
Do
your favorite
I
book?
have a favorite book? I love 1,000 Splendid Suns.
I
I don't know if you've read that now.
No
I'm so
idea.
sorry. I
I
forgot the
haven't-
author. Let me just
1,000
check.
I haven't
Splendid-
read it, but I know about it.
No idea. Oh, and 1,000 Splendid Suns. I have actually no idea.
I've heard of it. I haven't. It's fiction too, right?
1,000 Splendid Suns, a novel by Khaled
Yeah.
Hosseini. So it's basically about the war in Afghanistan.
Afghanistan. I was gonna
Yes,
say
yeah.
Afghanistan.
It was a war in Afghanistan. And it was a point of view from a mother, essentially, of how she was trying to protect her children and whatnot. I think it was just so deeply it was really scary. Actually, that book moved me. I cried in that book just because here's her reality completely changed 180 because of that war, because of Taliban and whatnot, and it kind of inspired me to go there. But everybody else is like saying, no, Nadia, you should not, for safety reasons, right? Yeah, I'm very interested actually in hearing more perspectives from women because usually their voices are untold. And, for me, I always, and this is something that also my grandfather and my grandmother, right, reminded me was that you can't choose who you're born into. And because of that, you need to be extremely thankful, right? Because when you're born into a family, your reality, like a lot of things are set out for you, right? And so because of that privilege comes responsibility and you have to give back. And so, when I actually read other people's perspectives, right, on things, I always wonder if I was born into her, what would I do?
Yeah.
Right.
If I wasn't born here, what would I do, right? And it makes me so thankful of the life I have now. Even to be born in Indonesia, which is, compared to other countries, actually, it's a very peaceful country.
Right.
Yeah.
Compared to other countries,
you're
right?
relatively, we always compare ourselves to Japan, America, Europe.
Yeah.
But when you compare to other countries, you're absolutely right. We're actually in a very good place.
Yeah. I mean, I talked to like a South American, for instance. Like for them, Indonesia is heaven because, they can actually stroll around in the roads quite freely without, being afraid about violence, actually.
Yeah. Guns everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's your favorite movie with no Habibie movies? Nah, you can't say any of the Habibie movies. What's your favorite movie?
Gosh, what is my favorite movie?
Or the movie that really
Resonate
with you. Not the favorite, but just resonates with you.
Let me think, okay? Apa ya masih
And no cheating. And no cheating.
No. Call a friend.
Yeah. You can't say any of the Habibie movies, of course. You can't say. Yeah.
Well, okay, if it's Indonesian, I love Kartini. Again, of course, because, I mean, again, it was a very oppressive time.
Yeah.
It was very kagetin gitu loh. For someone dipingit gitu ya selama itu. I mean, okay, I know the term pingit when I was married and when I wanted to get married.
Right.
And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. Right? Although, now it's actually not exercised as much as it was before. Yeah, but that was extremely scary. And again, it made me thankful that I was born even in this era, right?
Right, because before... Yeah.
Before, like, it could have happened to me,
Anybody,
it could have happened to you, but no, God chose you to be born into this era.
Yeah.
It's a very humbling knowledge to know.
It takes you back to that thought experiment, right?
Yes.
Like when you reflect, like what my life would have become if I was born in a different context, in a different time period, country, family.
Because you have no control over that.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah.
And that's when you realize, like, well, for me, at least, that's when I realized I have to be a lot more spiritual and thankful, right? Because that's just one thing that I cannot control. And this is who I was born. And so what I do here now, is a way for me to be thankful to the universe and to God and to all of that. Yeah.
So I really wanted to ask, I think throughout this interview or this podcast, you mentioned spirituality quite a bit.
Oh, did I?
Yes, you did around 17 times. I got asked it.
Okay.
I was
like,
keeping
okay.
So I'm very curious, like, what does spirituality means to you?
Oh, it's a great one.
For me, it means being thankful. I think, and I feel like for that, it makes me feel empowered to do something good, right? It's very much intertwined with my purpose. I think for me, it's really important to do something that's impactful and is aligned with my purpose. And if, I think I mentioned a little bit about where I used to work and, maybe it may seem a little bit random. I used to be in a fintech company and then I was in the government, now I'm in the family. But the benang merah, the central theme to this all is like, how do I become impactful? How do I solve problems that can't be delegated to anyone right now? And I believe I should be here because ini memang sesuatu yang perlu dimulai oleh keluarga gitu. Karena kita sekarang lagi ngomongin mengenai legacy tokoh gitu. Dan kalau misalnya keluarga juga yang preserving and cultivating that, it's a different aura and energy altogether, right?
Okay.
There's some things that are kayak gimana ya? I don't 100% agree with this phrase that blood is thicker than water, but for this I do. You know?
Okay.
Because I
Right.
see them also in so many levels, gitu, yeah. I know
Right.
them in a lens that not others do.
Right.
Gitu. So I have the opportunity to be able to share that, gitu. Dan sayang banget kung nggak di-share, jujur.
Right.
I can say, gitu, yeah, from my personal experience, gitu, my grandfather as a historical figure and my grandmother as a historical figure, they have the same values as they are personally. And since you have met him personally,
Yeah, I have.
you could
I can-
probably
I can
say the
attest to it.
same.
I can attest to it.
Right?
It's crazy.
And when I'm talking
Yeah.
about them, I feel like they're also taking over me, you know, because I'm
Right.
just like so much with, like, I'm so spirited and passionate, and I don't know, you know, there's this like energy, like.
Right. I feel
Yeah.
like when you talk about like history, whether
Yeah.
it be like Indonesia's history in relation to this
Yeah.
room, history of your family,
Right.
It's almost like a spiritual experience to you.
Yes, it is. Interestingly, you know, gimana ya? If I were to actually test in a personality test, what is that called? The 16 personality test.
Oh yeah, the INTJ,
Right.
INTP,
I am
something.
an ENFJ, and right now it's a lot of F, but also J. So
Right.
like
Okay.
right hand right-sided, but also left-sided in a way. So it's a very wholesome experience, in my opinion.
I think it's very interesting because most people, you know, when they talk about history or relating or remembering history, it's very like academic practice.
Oh yes, sure.
Right.
Yes, I
But
see what
like-
you mean.
But like for you,
it's like spiritual.
it's like a lived experience. Like it's a very
Right.
spiritual experience. That's
I
what
think that's
I'm
a good way to
doing.
put it. Lived
Yeah.
experience, yes. I mean, of course, we have to get our facts right as well, right?
course,
Historians, right?
Don't change history. I'm just coughing. It's just cough. Yeah.
He's fine.
Are you feeling better?
Oh yes, much better
Okay,
now. That
that's
I
good.
got that out. Yeah.
Okay. But, you know, I think, again, I think the key here to making it effective is actually storytelling. And of course, it's not like, and making sure, obviously, you get the facts right, but also, you know, how do you tell a story and how do you pass on that energy, right, to
Right.
others, right?
I just listen. I have a lot of questions, but there's a time.
You have a lot of questions.
I have a lot of questions
Tadi
everywhere,
memang.
but I'm planning to. I just want one last thing from me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One last thing from me. As somebody, okay, how do I word this into a question that's not
got
weird?
this.
That's not weird. It's a weird question. It's a weird
okay.
question. Not that weird, but you'll get it. I feel like as someone who's outside of people who are born into great families, I feel like there's a clear distinction between those sons and daughters who came out all right, and between sons and daughters and grandsons and granddaughters who came out to be, in my opinion, of course, not all right in the sense that, because I don't see, when I see the elites, you need to understand from my perspective, yeah? Right? From my perspective, there's an elite families
Here
all
we
around
go.
Indonesia.
Here we go.
Okay, you know who, we all know who. I just feel like there's a clear difference between those elite families who pass on the values to their children very, very well, whatever the values are, and then there's ones that I just feel like, bro, like what are you doing? Like I feel like there's a disconnect, right? I don't know where this question is going.
Okay. I'm getting worried here.
It's an
I just-
Am I on the
observation.
hot seat
No,
now?
it's just an observation. 'Cause
Okay.
Where does she stand? Like where is she?
on the good side.
Okay.
Oh, thank
on,
you.
on the family that's like clearly Eyang's and Habibie and Ainun's values and your mom and dad's values clearly came out. And the others, I just feel like it's a grab for power. There's just, I don't know what's going on here.
And it's either or, right? There's no in between sometimes.
I feel like there's no in between. Or you may correct me. It's like,
Yeah.
no, Andovi, there are in betweeners who are like, let's grab for power. No, let's not. grab for
I don't
power.
know.
Like, because
Okay.
I'm sure. Look, I don't know. Correct me if I'm sure you're in the circle, if that makes any sense. Like you know who these people are. You're in the A1 in the like, don't you sometimes go like? Nggak usah gitu kali. Kayak, you get my point, right? Because only you and a few others can say to other people to be like, come on, bro, nggak usah kayak gitu kali. I know this question. Very confused.
That's what you would do if
Where
you're in the
is he
circle.
going
If I
with
was in the
this
circle,
question?
if I was in the circle, I'll be like,
How would you handle it?
bro, come on, bro, really? Nggak usah gitu kali. Are you really that hungry for power? Kayak nggak usah gitu kali. Kayak You don't have to answer anything. I just let it out. I just wanna,
Do you feel better?
I
Do you feel better?
It's
Okay,
very
that's
spiritual
good.
for me as well.
Okay, it's spiritual
Being
for
in this room
you.
reminds me. It's very spiritual. Oh, God.
We could have been so much better.
Yes. You
Yeah,
could,
okay.
not you, it's like other people. Yeah, that's it. I don't know. Sorry, we moved that wasted 2 minutes of your time of me rambling. Yeah.
Okay.
I just wish there were more of yous and than
Thank you.
others. That's
Okay. Let me form a question from that.
Yeah, thank
okay.
you. Thank you. Help me, my co-host.
Oh my gosh.
No, I feel like it relates to what Nadia mentioned earlier about like the role of mother being like a very important role. It's about upbringing, right? Essentially, what Andovi is
The
like.
best way to upbring is really through action. I think we children, and I think us as new mothers, right? We have to be extremely conscious of not only what we're saying, but actually what we're doing. If they're not in alignment, they would actually question us. Gitu. If they are in alignment,
Okay.
especially with action, gitu ya kan?
Yeah.
Kayak they will follow. Children are actually extremely smart. Mulai dari sekarang mereka udah mulai mengikuti kita, gitu ya kan? So we have to be very mindful, and that's probably the biggest lessons that I learned from my grandparents, from my parents, is actually in their action. Gitu. Karena kita semua perhatiin, gitu.
Yep.
Gak bisa, you can't lie from your action, your body language lah,
Yep.
apalah gitu ya kan. So, gue kayak gini karena memang keluarga gue kayak begini gitu,
It's from action, not just words.
Yeah. And as I mentioned, maybe I also said this many times, but it's that alignment. To see.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
This room is bringing me back. I still remember that day when I was here. I can't wait to see the Perpustakaan because when I went there, it wasn't renovated yet. In 2018, I did see it.
Yes.
But it wasn't like the
Okay.
new renovated one, right?
Oh, okay.
I
2018 is
assume-
not finished. Yes,
Yeah,
it's 29. No. It was 20. Sorry, it was finished already, but it was renovated.
But I was there. I saw it, but then the people were like, "Ini belum selesai Andovi. Andovi ini masih belum properly finished." But
really?
but I've already
Okay.
seen it. But my team
Okay.
hasn't seen it. Abigail hasn't seen it.
Okay.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it.
And
Sure.
if you don't mind, can we like take like videos and like?
Yes, I think so. I think there might be an event right now. Actually,
there's an
there.
event?
Yeah, but you can see from
Well,
outside.
we can crash the event.
Yes, we can wait until the wee hours to see it. Of course,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it's also very chantik, right?
That's
at night. Yeah,
It's beautiful.
I've seen
that
pictures
one
of
is
it on Google.
Yes, it's a very
Amazing.
iconic place, and it's a very interesting library. So you might think as like a technocrat and a technologist,
Yeah.
right? It'll be filled with actually books of technology and science, but in fact, it's actually filled with books of humanities and social sciences.
Wow.
It's supposed to be called
Wow.
Perpustakaan Peradaban, so civilization library, because Eyang understood, the power of civilization and our duty and responsibility to be able to progress it. And one of the ways to do that is to ensure knowledge is passed down from one generation to another. The best way is through literature, right? And of course, another reason why is because all of those books, they're either about philosophy atau religion, politics, and whatnot, gitu ya kan. Those are books that are meant for us to love our roots better. And that's so important for us to love our roots, because then that will also determine, how impactful you can be with your knowledge, gitu ya kan, with what you're good at, gitu. And that's, again, back to that intellectuality has to be paired with love thing, right?
Amazing.
Teknologi dia itu memang berdasarkan
Cinta. And I think we're gonna end with that. I think
Yeah.
that's I think that's the best thing.
Yeah. Before
I go on another rant of whatever. Nadia, thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
I think to close, like, can you tell us a little bit, like, if people want to visit this place?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
Yes.
How can they?
Yes. So we are open for specific weekends. So
Okay.
just stay tuned in our announcements, right? Unfortunately, we cannot be opened all the time because the family is still using it, right? And we use it actually also for other programs and whatnot. But we're so excited to have pengunjung-pengunjung di sini juga the weekend, and hopefully we get to see you. So stay on the lookout on Instagram,
Yeah.
right? And that's that.
And hopefully we can maybe in the near future arrange like an event with WIUI.
Yes. Oh, I would
That's a
be
great
so
one.
Special
excited
event.
Because they have a journal
Journal club.
Journal club. They have
Yeah,
a journal.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
somebody's
yeah.
at a journal club.
Okay.
We do, and maybe we can do like an in-person journal club. That'll be
Yes.
really cool.
Well, you should tell me more about that journal club for sure.
We'll do.
Yes. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you in the next episode.
Bye.
Thank you, Nadia. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Bye.